Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and start over again. Welcome to another creative session with me, Cynthia. And today I want to share with you the two stencils I designed for this month's June 2026 Stencil Club. And that is with StencilGirl Products. And this is called Prairie Harmony. And so I've got both of these two stencils. If you join the club by June 15th, these are the two stencils that you will get exclusive. Meanwhile, StencilGirl Products has a lot of other stencils that you can choose from, but with the club, you get a special set. And with the set comes a video and also a PDF instructional. So, but today I wanted to share with you something other than the exclusive that you would get if you join the club. And also I want to talk a little bit about the inspiration behind these stencils. So, I'm trained as a landscape architect, and these are stencils that kind of come out of the idea of the Prairie School. And that is where the architecture kind of blends into the Midwest landscape and kind of has elements in it that reflect the landscape, the horizontality, structure, geometry. And, you know, that was a movement that came out of the crafts movement in the late 1800s, early 1900s. And of course, Frank Lloyd Wright is probably the most famous person from that Prairie School. So at any rate, this is the set. And let me show you what I want to show you how to do today. And that is, I've made these double-sided papers. So I've already prepared the front side, which is acrylic paint on a gel plate. And I've got some already made here. And then I want to show you how you can make this into a double-sided paper that would be fun for using in collage. So with that, I'm going to just go ahead and I'm going to turn my camera down a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. And that's partly why I'm going to look over here at my computer and make sure that you can see what I'm doing here. And I'm going to maybe move this forward a little bit. There's a delay. I want to make sure I'm in the right place here. And which way do I move this? Let's see. Okay. I just want to make sure I'm in the shot here. So what is really fun about this is you've got the acrylic on the front, and you use a gel plate to do that. And what I like to do is, actually, I make the blue on this particular one. So I put down the color, blue, and then I put the stencil on top, and then I laid this tea bag paper. That's what I'm using here, which is a translucent paper. And so then I pull the first print off, and that's the actual space between the plastic on the stencil. And then I lay another sheet of paper down, and I can get the rest of the paint that was on the stencil. And these are the ones that I really like to make the translucent paper with, because there's a lot more white space, and it just turns out really cool. At least I think it does. So, and then I also like to use a contrasting color, and I'm painting on the back. And let's go ahead and get a dark, I like to have a darker, like maybe a blue-black here. And I'm going to just start laying that color on. You need to use a lot of water with this tea bag paper. And I'm going to just get some water on here and then just go ahead and grab the color and spread that around. And you can mix up colors. Use a darker green in here, some blues, and you're going to see what it looks like as soon as we finish getting some color on here. You can use any water media with this. You can actually even use acrylic paint if you water it down. You want it to be very watered down for this on the back side. Okay. And then because it's tea bag paper, it's not as fragile, but you still need to be a little bit careful picking that up. So you can see how it reveals. Let me see if oops, I'm going the wrong way. I'm looking at my screen trying to make sure I'm in the shot, and I'm going the wrong way. Here we go. There it is. And you can lay it down and pick up a little bit more of that. And then you just let that dry. And I think these just make absolutely gorgeous collage papers. So then also the other thing you can do is, I've got another one here, and I'm just going to lay it right down in the rest of this watercolor on here and pick that up. So that's how you make this double-sided translucent paper with tea bag paper, watercolor, and acrylic. And so at the beginning of this video, I feel like I was a little not clear on what I was trying to talk about Stencil Club and my inspiration for these stencils, because I was busy trying to figure out if my computer was set up and if my camera was set up. So maybe I want to revisit that a little bit and talk to you a little bit more about these stencils. So once again, these were inspired by the Prairie School of Design, which was a school of design that kind of started around the late 1800s and the early 1900s, and of course was popularized quite a bit by Frank Lloyd Wright. And of course there were many other architects as well. But it really was different from what was happening in the urban areas, because it was really a response to the more Midwestern landscape, which was much flatter than other parts of the country. And so it was really a response that kind of came out of that and came out of the arts and crafts movement as well. So that was my inspiration for these. And also I'm a landscape architect by training and profession, and I've done that for many, many years. And now I spend a lot of time doing art, and a lot of my stencils are reflective of, being a landscape architect, spending time outside, and influences that come from the architectural world as well. So I just think these look so gorgeous. They just glow. And I think that they're going to make a really, really super nice collage papers to use. I'm working on a collage panel series, and I do that live on Saturdays. I'm going to make a place for this over here. Okay. All right, and so I will I'm going to do a little bit more here. Let me clean this up. And I want to use some distress inks. I've got some Ranger distress inks, and we can use those as well. I'm really, so thankful for StencilGirl Products and letting me participate in their program to come up with designs. And I was thinking about it the other day. This is the third time I've been one of the Stencil Club artists, and behind me you can kind of just see, and at the end I'll show it to you too. That was the very first club I did, and that was a few years back, and that one's called Fun and Games. And then I did another, I was the artist in November of last year. Let me show you those really quick. And I did a couple of, boy, I'm gonna try to remember the name of this one. This was based on the landscape of northern Michigan, and here's the other part of it that got ripped, but these were just experiments that I did with charcoal and tea bag paper. But the beauty of being in Stencil Club is that, if you love this month's stencils and you join by June 15th, you get this month's stencils. But you can also pay for extra any of the older Stencil Club stencils that you might like. So they're just exclusive to people who are in the club. Oh, let's see. We're going to use distress ink, and we've got blue with a little pearlescent on it. So I want to do maybe a darker blue and a red. And I want to wet this down first because sometimes it just, this paper, being tea bag paper, it really absorbs a lot of color and water. It sometimes helps to spritz it first. So this is a little bit messy. Usually I do spray inks. If any of you use these, you'll know what I mean. They can be so messy, but I do love them so much. The color is just really fun. But I usually have a box and to catch that all that extra spray. So let's put a little bit more water on here and see if we can spread that color around a little bit. Kind of hoping some of these might blend together to make a little bit of a purple. I could have mixed them on my table here. Oh, I forgot to mention, that's something else I wanted to mention, and that is that, you know, when you're doing this, I have a glass tabletop, and, you know, it doesn't absorb the color, which is fine for this type of work. So you might want to just use a plastic, you know, cutting board or plexiglass or something like that, glass cutting board, if you want to just pick up some more of that ink. Otherwise, I think it doesn't matter. You could just, it's going to leave ink behind on a piece of paper. It's going to absorb that. So let's see, how does this one look? A little blotchier than I had hoped. But because these are collage papers, you know, probably I'll cut this apart. That still is an interesting effect. And maybe it'll wick in each direction a little bit more as well. Well, I'm going to try turning up my camera here and see if I can get myself back in the picture without making anybody seasick. Okay, so that's what I wanted to come by today and show you, is just inspiration for these stencils and a couple of ways to use them. Well, actually, if you decide to join Stencil Club, you'll find out what the project is that's exclusive to members, and you can buy other sets once you're a member, and then of course you can quit at any time. So you can stay for a few months and get the stencils, and it's a surprise every month to members who are ongoing members. So thank you so much for joining me. If you have never been here before, I do process videos mostly. I'm not necessarily teaching techniques, and I'm here live on Wednesdays, and I usually do some kind of water-based work. And then on Saturdays right now, I'm doing a collage series, and also every now and again I do also do regular long form videos, and I have a whole bunch of other videos. Some of them are archival videos. If you look at my playlists of other stencils I've designed and some of the stuff I did with those a few years ago. And then what was the other thing I wanted to mention? I wanted to invite you back next Monday. I wanted to invite you back next Monday. I'm going to do another live stream, and I'm going to take some of these collage papers and I'm going to apply them to some panels that I'm working on. So that's it. Thanks again, and thanks for being here live, and thanks for coming to the replay, and I will see you next